Blog number 3 in a long line of blogs, and I'm just making sure I know exactly what I'm going to be talking about for this one, and of course the next one. And this one is all about buses, and yes, the humble bus. I do actually have to catch buses around Peterborough, and basically I am excited. Well, not excited, but I got a little bit excited a bit, although I never bought any. And I went to a shop in Norwich the other week, and I basically saw some books. And what were they? Books on buses. I know. I shouldn't really get too excited, but I did a little bit. I was kind of humming and ahhing over them because for some reason I'd never seen them before. I've never seen a bus book. Not that I haven't seen a book about buses. Of course I have around the library and so on, but I meant these were like yearbooks. I don't know who publishes them. I don't know what they're about, but they're basically what they basically are is they're yearbooks that basically have information in there something about basically books. So I basically decided it's an idea that I would think about buying them. I might even go on the internet because they're great, and I see they had like a lot of old ones. They had like some 70s ones and some 80s, I think, and they went right up to somewhere like 2013, 2012. But I flicked through them. I think some of the modern ones, they have like the modern buses in there, but they probably have little bits and pieces that go back to the old. And I've always been, same with trains, I've always been interested in buses, and it's interesting to actually look at these and to see basically how buses used to be. I mean, that's the thing. The thing that about buses, and even when you look at something like coaches and things like that, is that they have changed dramatically. Coaches and buses to me have got better. I mean, I've seen programs about buses and particularly coaches and that, and I never really liked the old style ones because they didn't seem very well. But I actually do like the style that you get with coaches these days. They're brilliant, and I do like a bus. I'm very much partial to a bus, but I say, in many ways, I would say that I prefer basically a bus when it comes to a double-decker. Not that it's a bad thing, it's just that, you know, it's the way it is. But yeah, buses are interesting, and I'm thinking about, you know, because this will probably have, there's a lot of pictures in there I could look at, and there might be some information, and who knows? There may even be pictures of Peterborough buses. I mean, we have a bus service which is run by Stagecoach and that, so I'd get to see that in there, and probably even First Buses, which is another bus company that are quite popular around other areas. Basically, Stagecoach have a lot of buses. In fact, I do actually watch a bus programme. There's one that's come on Channel 5 recently. It's been on for 2 weeks now, and it's on for another few weeks, and it's basically all about buses in Hull, or basically that area, and they go to Scarborough and Hull, and and it's basically about life on the buses really, which is interesting, I know. And also, one other thing that I can say about buses is it's also the setting for one of my all-time favourite comedy programmes, and that is basically on the buses. Yes, you can't beat a good old classic comedy from the UK, which was broadcasted during the 70s basically, and starred Reg Varney and various other people. Yes, it was all about the life on the buses. Reg Varney, who played Stan, was a bus driver, and his best friend Jack was his bus conductor. There was also Stephen Lewis, who played the inspector at the company, and then you also had Stan's mum. Oh yes, Stan's mum, because he still lived at home. I don't know how old he was in the programme, but Stan obviously wasn't young, so he was still fairly, you know, and he lived at home with his mum, and his sister Olive, and Olive's husband Arthur. Yeah, what a family they were. I know. What made it worse was that Olive actually got a job at the buses. She was a little bit sick, but she still got a job on the buses. Can you believe that? Amazing, eh? You're watching on the buses. You wouldn't think she would get a job on the buses, but she did. In fact, she got a job on the buses, and she was doing it when Stan moved away. Because in the later series of On the Buses, basically Stan moved away, and what happened was basically she got a job basically on the buses, and what happened with and that Stan moved away. But I don't suppose that was the greatest thing in the world, because that was a series that may not have been as good as the ones before, but it was great to see what was good about this program. And the one good thing about the program was basically that it went and became a part of good British life at that time in the 70s. It was a wonderful comedy. He had a lot of sexual references because Stan and Jack were always after the women. And not only did they do the programme, and they made a couple of series, well, I don't know how many series they made in total, but they did at least 4, 5, 6, 7 odd series. And that, one of the good things that they actually did was they made films. They did spin-off films where they had Holiday on the Buses, Mutiny on the Buses, and another one. I think they did 3 films altogether, and they were great feature-length films. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. Loved it. Worth the watch. And to finish off, there was an American version, but I've never seen the American version, but it'd be worth checking on YouTube. I just don't think the American version would be any good as the British one, and it didn't feature the same actors or actresses. What it did is it featured different people, but it was a different name. But they based it on the buses. So yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.